When Elena Rodriguez, 78 years old, walked into the courtroom, no one could know she was a teacher. No one could know she'd taught thousands of children to read and write over 42 years. And no one could know that right now, she couldn't remember her own name. When Frank Caprio opened the file, he saw a simple speeding violation. But that day, in that courtroom, a woman's memory was slipping away. Elena's hands were trembling. In her left hand was a paper, a court summons. But she didn't remember why she was here. Her eyes wandered around the room, every face a stranger, every sound a doubt. Her daughter Maria stood beside her, holding her hand tightly, but Elena didn't recognize her. "Who are you?" she whispered. Maria's eyes filled with tears. This was the third time she'd asked that question today. When Frank opened the file, it looked like just another routine traffic violation. Speeding, school zone, 75 miles per hour instead of 55 miles per hour. Open, simple, pay the fine, go. But when he looked at Elena's file, the documents told him something different. Driver's license, Elena Rodriguez, age 78, 60 years driving history, no accident record. Retirement certificate, Roosevelt Elementary School, 42 years of service. Medical report, but strange. 3 months ago, missing person report. Police found her, 40 miles from home. Didn't know where she was. "Mrs. Rodriguez," Frank said, his voice echoing in the courtroom, but somehow soft, almost worried. "Why were you speeding in the school zone this morning?" Elena looked at him. There was confusion in her eyes, as if she'd heard the question but couldn't understand its meaning. I was going to school. My students are waiting for me. I'm late. I'm sorry." Frank stopped. He looked at the file again. Elena had retired 15 years ago. She had no students anymore. But she was still there, in her mind, on that first day 42 years ago, at Roosevelt Elementary in her classroom, waiting for her students. This is exactly when everything changed. Frank Caprio's expression shifted. He slowly closed the file, removed his glasses, and looked at Elena. They weren't judge and defendant anymore. One human being was watching another one disappear. "Mrs. Rodriguez," Frank's voice softer, more careful. "What day is today?" Elena thought. There was a long silence. The courtroom waited. Everyone watched a woman struggle with a simple question. "Tuesday. No, Thursday. Or is it Saturday?" "Do you know what month it is?" "September. No, wait, March. Yes, March." But today was June. And it wasn't Tuesday, it was Wednesday. Elena was losing time. Maria, her daughter, leaned forward. "Your Honor, my mother is sick. Alzheimer's. Early stage. Diagnosed 3 months ago. I shouldn't have let her drive. But she insisted. She said, 'I'm fine.' And I wanted to believe her." Court clerk Linda had worked with Frank for 20 years and had never seen such silence. The entire room was holding its breath. There were 100 people there, but no sound. Just Elena's soft breathing, confused, but remembering nothing. "Does your mother," Frank asked, turning to Maria, "want to continue driving?" "Yes. Every day. Because she forgets she's not a teacher anymore. Every morning she wakes up saying, 'I have to go to school.' I hid her keys, but she found them. 2 days ago, midnight, she left the house. Police found her 30 miles away, lost, crying. She told them, 'I can't find my classroom.'" But the truly shocking thing was another truth Frank learned at that moment. Elena, on her way to court today, had forgotten the route. She used GPS but missed the exit. In panic, she sped up because she was running late. To school. To the non-existent school. To the school she retired from 15 years ago. While her students, now in their 30s with children of their own, were waiting. "Mrs. Rodriguez," Frank said gently, "do you remember teaching?" Elena's face lit up. For the first time, That cloudy look disappeared, replaced by brightness. Yes, I'm a teacher. 42 years, 2nd grade. I teach reading and writing. Every child should learn to read. It changes their lives. What year is it now? The brightness faded. Confusion returned. 1985. No, 2000. I don't know. Frank, at that moment, understood. Elena was living in the past. In her mind, she was still a young teacher, in her classroom, teaching children the alphabet. But her body was here, in 2024, in the courtroom, forgetting, losing, slowly disappearing. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. Frank opened the file again. There was another document. Doctor's report, 3 months ago. Dementia diagnosis, early stage, moderate progression rate, recommended, 24-hour supervision, driver's license revocation, safe care environment. Has Mrs. Rodriguez's license been revoked? Frank asked. Maria bowed her head. I applied, but the process is long. It's been 3 months, we're still waiting. Meanwhile, my mother still drives. I hide the keys, but she finds them. I lock them, but she forgets they're locked. Every day she tries to go to school, and I can't stop her. Wait a minute, don't miss this detail. Frank Caprio, at that moment, didn't just make a decision. He stood up, stepped down from his bench, and walked to Elena. In the middle of the courtroom, in front of everyone. The courtroom was shocked. A judge in the middle of court going to the defendant? This had never been seen before. Frank knelt in front of Elena, got eye level with her, and gently, as if talking to a grandchild, asked, Elena, do you recognize me? Elena looked at him. A long silence. Then she smiled slightly. Are you the principal? Did I do something wrong? Frank's eyes filled with tears. No, Elena. You did nothing wrong. You're a wonderful teacher. 42 years, thousands of children. You changed their lives. I can't remember. I know. And it's not your fault. At that moment, everyone in the courtroom was crying. The prosecutor, defense attorney, court clerk, spectators. A woman was forgetting. And everyone knew that one day, maybe they would forget too. You won't believe this, but Frank wasn't done yet. Frank stood up and turned to the court clerk. Linda, call emergency medical assistance. Now. Elena needs evaluation. And call DMV. Driver's license must be suspended immediately. This is a safety issue. Linda picked up the phone. Within 10 seconds, EMTs were on their way. Then Frank turned to Maria. Where will your mother stay tonight? Maria's eyes were full. With me. But I work, Your Honor. Weekdays, 10 hours a day. I said let's hire a nurse, but my mother refuses. She says, I'm not sick. Yesterday she tried to cook, turned on the gas but forgot to light it. A neighbor came and turned it off. If the neighbor hadn't come... She didn't finish the sentence, but everyone understood. A fire, an explosion, a tragedy, waiting. Maria, Frank said, his voice firm. Your mother can no longer be alone. This isn't just a driving issue. This is life and death. I'm giving you 1 week. You need to arrange professional care for your mother. Either a care home or 24-hour home care. The choice is yours, but this must happen. But Your Honor, I don't have money. Care home is $8,000 a month. Home care is $300 a day. I'm a nurse, but I don't earn that much. How will I pay? Now you're seeing nothing. Frank pulled out his phone. For the second time, making a call in the middle of court. Hello, this is Judge Caprio. Can I speak with Social Services Director Karen Williams? Very urgent. He waited 10 seconds. The room was silent. Elena was still sitting confused, not understanding what was happening. Karen? Frank. Listen, I have a 78-year-old woman with Alzheimer's in front of me. Living alone, driving, could harm herself. Her daughter works, can't afford care. Need help immediately. Can you fast-track Medicaid application? Good. Emergency care support available? Great. Elena Rodriguez. Yes. Today. Okay. He hung up and looked at Maria. Social services will contact you tomorrow. They'll fast-track your Medicaid application. Temporarily, they'll arrange home care support for your mother. 3 months, free. This will give you time to think and arrange. Maria looked at him with disbelief, hope, gratitude mixed together. Your Honor, This can't be real. This is real, Maria, but I have one condition. Maria waited. You will give me your mother's keys today, now, and you will never, ever let her drive again. Agreed? Maria pulled the keys from her pocket. Trembling hands. Agreed, I promise. Everyone had learned the truth, but the real shock came 5 minutes later. The EMTs arrived. They evaluated Elena. Blood pressure high, sugar low, dehydration signs. But most importantly, memory test. They said 5 words, asked her to remember them. Elena couldn't remember any. Mrs. Rodriguez, the EMT said, we need to take you to the hospital, just for checkup, okay? Elena panicked. No, I have to go to school, my students, they're waiting for me. Maria held her hand. Mom, you're on vacation. Schools are closed, don't you remember? Elena looked at her daughter. A long silence. Then, very slowly, Are you Maria? My daughter Maria? Maria cried. Yes, Mom. I'm Maria, your daughter. I didn't recognize you. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting everything. What's happening to me? And at that moment, Elena, for the first time, understood what was happening. Alzheimer's. Her memory was going. Her time was going. She was slowly disappearing. Frank Caprio didn't just dismiss a fine that day. He saved a woman's life. Because if Elena had lived alone one more week, something could have happened. Gas explosion, car accident, getting lost, death. But after the cameras turned off, no one knew what happened in Frank's office. When Maria came in, Frank was writing a letter. Judge Caprio, Maria said, I don't know how to thank you. Frank looked up. He looked tired. Maria, don't thank me. Just take good care of your mother, every day, because Alzheimer's is merciless. Every day it takes a little more. But you can remind her of love. And that's more valuable than anything. But I'm scared. I don't know what to do. My mother, while talking to me, didn't recognize me. For the first time, my own mother saw me as a stranger. And that's devastating. Frank stood up, walked around his desk, came in front of Maria. Maria, listen. Your mother may not remember you by name, but in her heart, she knows you. The mother-daughter bond is stronger than Alzheimer's. When you hold her hand, she feels it. When you smile, she sees it. When you say love, she hears it. Maybe words are going, but feelings remain. Maria, with those words, felt relief. A little. And one more thing, Frank said. I'm contacting the Alzheimer's Association. I'll tell them your story. Maybe they can arrange a support group, a training program, something. Because you're not alone. Millions of families are fighting the same battle. That day, Frank Caprio made a decision. He launched an elderly driver assessment program. Every driver over 75 would undergo annual cognitive testing. Because he saw Elena and understood. How many Elenas are out there? 3 months later, Maria came back to the courtroom. This time not as a defendant, as a volunteer. She had a photo in her hand. Judge Caprio, Maria said, my mother is now in a care home. Beautiful place, has a garden, nurses are kind, and something interesting happened. Frank waited curiously. At the care home there's a library, children's books, and my mother goes there every day, takes books, reads them aloud, not to anyone, just reads. Because she forgot she retired. She still thinks she's a teacher. Maria extended the photo. Elena, in the care home library, holding a children's book, reading aloud. Her face showed peace. No confusion, just a teacher doing her job. And the best part, Maria continued, eyes full, other residents at the care home come to listen to her. They also have Alzheimer's, they're also forgetting. But my mother's voice calms them. Every afternoon at 3, Mrs. Rodriguez's reading hour. 10 people come. Sit. Listen. And my mother is happy. Frank's eyes filled with tears. Maria, your mother is still a teacher, still touching lives, just in a different classroom. Yes, and I'm grateful to you, because you saved my mother's life. That speeding violation day, if you hadn't noticed, if you hadn't called the ambulance, if you hadn't arranged care, my mother might not be here now. Frank touched Maria's shoulder. Maria, I just saw, but you take action every day. You visit her, talk to her, show her love. You're the real hero. That evening, sitting at home, Frank wrote one last letter. To future judges. Dear colleague, one day, an elderly person will come before you. Maybe a traffic violation, maybe something else. But never forget, that person isn't just old. They're a lifetime full of experience, knowledge, love. They may be a teacher, a doctor, a parent, a grandparent. They came before us, paved the roads, built society. And if that person is now forgetting, losing, experiencing confusion, it's not their fault. This is the cruelty of aging. This is the brutality of Alzheimer's. That day, when I saw Elena Rodriguez, I didn't just see a traffic violation. I saw a woman, taught thousands of children to read and write for 42 years, served society, but now forgetting her own name. And I helped her instead of just punishing her. Called an ambulance, arranged care, saved her life. Because justice isn't just punishment. Justice is protection. Justice is understanding. Justice is letting the elderly live with dignity. Elena is now in a care home. Every day, reading children's books, forgetting but teaching, disappearing but existing. And I gave her that chance. Tomorrow, another Elena will come before you. Another elderly, another forgetful, another lost person. What will you do? Will you punish, or will you save a life? Decisions pass, files close, but a person's dignity lasts forever. Respectfully, Frank Caprio, retired judge, elderly rights advocate. The next morning, Maria went to the care home. Elena was in the library, in her usual spot, with a book in her hand. Mom, Maria said, sitting next to her, I love you. Elena looked at her daughter. A long silence. Then, very slowly, she smiled. I love you too. Are you my daughter? Yes, Mom. I'm Maria. Maria, beautiful name. I once had a student named Maria, very smart girl. Maria cried. Her mother had forgotten her daughter but remembered a student. Alzheimer's is a strange disease. Some memories stay, some go. But love always remains. Years later, when Frank Caprio retired, the most special speaker at the ceremony was Maria Rodriguez. Elena was now 82, in the care home, had forgotten almost everything. But still, every afternoon at 3, she read books. Judge Caprio, Maria said in her speech, in front of thousands of people. 4 years ago, you saved my mother's life. That speeding violation day, you noticed my mother was sick. You called the ambulance, you arranged care, and you showed me that aging isn't a crime. Alzheimer's isn't a shame. These are parts of humanity. My mother now remembers almost nothing, doesn't recognize me, sometimes doesn't even recognize herself, but every day she reads books, because teaching is carved into her soul. Alzheimer's can take memory but can't take identity. And today, here, at your retirement, I brought you a gift. Maria showed a large frame. Inside, Elena's photo, young, in her 30s, in her classroom, with her students. Below, a plaque. Elena Rodriguez, 42 years of teaching, touched thousands of lives. Dignity preserved thanks to Frank Caprio. The courtroom gave a standing ovation, but Frank's eyes were only on that photo. Young Elena, full of life, energetic, passionate. And now, elderly Elena, forgetful, lost, but still teaching. When they thought it was over, just as Frank was stepping down from the podium, Maria ran up. She had a small note in her hand. "Judge Uncle," Maria said, "this is from my mother." Frank opened the note, in shaky handwriting, barely readable. "Thank you. You are a good person. Even if I forget you, my heart will remember you. Elena." Frank, at that moment, understood the meaning of his 25-year career. Protecting the elderly, defending dignity, reminding humanity. "Maria," Frank said, pressing the note to his chest, "this is the most beautiful gift. And tell your mother, I will never forget her either, because she taught me, aging isn't weakening. Aging is wisdom in another form." As he left the courthouse building, Frank stopped and looked back. That huge building had been his home for 25 years. But now it wasn't just a building. It was a refuge for the elderly, a guardian of the forgotten, a symbol of dignity. The voice on his phone was familiar. The Alzheimer's Association coordinator was calling. "Judge Caprio, Elena's story made national news. Now hundreds of families are contacting us. They're also dealing with elderly parents' driver's license issues. We want to name your program Elena's Law. Mandatory cognitive testing over age 75. It'll spread to all states." Frank's eyes filled with tears. "Tell them I'm honored, and name the program Teacher's Dignity." Because Elena wasn't just an elderly woman. She served society, impacted thousands of children, a hero. That night, sitting at home, Frank watched television. On the news, Elena's story. Alzheimer's signs noticed in court, judge saves life. And in the comments, hundreds of people. "My mother also has Alzheimer's. Thank you, Frank Caprio." "My father is also forgetting. This gave me hope." The elderly deserve protection. Today, 4 years later, Elena is still alive. Age 82, in care home, reading books. Every day at 3 p.m., Mrs. Rodriguez's reading hour. 10 people come, sit, listen, forgetting but feeling. And Maria? She now works at the Alzheimer's Association, talking to families, giving support, giving hope. "If Frank Caprio fought for my mother, I'll fight for others," she says. Because that speeding violation wasn't just a violation. It was a woman's last cry, a family's last hope, a community's last conscience. And Frank Caprio, that day, didn't just dismiss a fine. He gave dignity. He showed love. He reminded humanity. This isn't a judge's story. This is a teacher's story. This is a daughter's story. This is a community's story. And this story repeats every day, worldwide, in every Frank Caprio, every Elena, every Maria, every elderly person. Because remember, aging isn't a flaw. Aging is a blessing. Aging is life's deepest wisdom. And every elderly person deserves protection, respect, love. Frank Caprio made his choice. Elena preserved her dignity. Maria continued her fight. Community awakened, and the world became a little better place. Now it's your turn. When you see an elderly person, what will you do? How will you protect those who forget? What decision will you make? Because every day there's an opportunity. Every day there's a chance to show respect to someone. Every day there's power to preserve dignity. Your turn. What will you choose?